Media. I'm in the shop with Billy the Kid Green. Billy, thanks for taking time in and sitting down and telling me some stories.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for coming out.
So you've been racing a while.
Yeah, since I started really racing when I was about, 9. When I started racing quarter midgets a lot around then. That's when we really started taking off.
Did you do some go-kart stuff before that, or just straight into quarter midgets?
No, we were going to, and Dad didn't like that they didn't have a roll cage and said I'd hurt myself. So
I could see that.
I guess he just assumed what my driving style was going to be like.
Okay. Typical Green.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I get that. Fair enough assumption there.
Yeah, there's actually a photo on the wall over there. I started in, December of, what year would that be? 2012? I think.
Something like that.
December of 2012 or something like that's when I started, and then we just started getting more and more into it.
Now, did you guys travel a lot doing the quarter midget stuff?
Yeah, we ran. It's USAC sanctioned,
okay.
And it's something called. We ran. There was called a Midwest Thunder Series, and that was more like not regional, but it was a couple states near us. And then they had the National Series, which is everything from 4 hours north to 7 hours south.
Right.
And we ran nationals, I think, for 1 or 2 years, and we ran Midwest Thunder besides that.
Huh. It's surprisingly all the different series and how much traveling you can really do. I mean, whether it's go-karts, legend cars,
right.
Four-wheelers, ATVs. I learned from my cousin. He's got kids that race, and man, they travel all over the place. And it's everywhere. I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, especially when I was younger, it was a cool opportunity because obviously, mom would come, mom, dad, me, and sometimes my sisters would tag along. It was kind of it was almost like a family vacation, just a little bit different. We had a couple of those trips where we would go down. If we had a national race, there was one in Huntsville, Alabama. Well, we went down a week early, and they had another regional race, and we ran the regional race and just left our stuff there and went to the beach for a week, just to have a family vacation. So
that's good times there.
Yeah, it worked out. We could plan everything around. Yeah, man.
For sure. So you did quarter midgets for how many years?
Let's see. I guess 4.
4. Okay.
4 years. And then the last year got a little shaky because that's when we started racing crate late models.
The crate late model.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first time I drove a crate car, I was actually 12. I was 12 the first time I drove one, not the first time I raced one.
I remember you being a little guy. Not that you're a big guy now.
No, I'm not big now, but
I remember you being a little guy.
Yeah.
Wheeling a crate late model.
Yeah, I was about 12 years old, and actually Tony Brewer got with my dad, and I don't know, they were talking about moving up, and because we kind of hit our limit in quarter midgets, we've gotten to the fastest car that we could get into. Right. That was Dad's style of teaching me when I was younger.
Sure.
So we've obviously just go-karts, you've got different classes and they get quicker. And so we'd keep a class, and anytime we got really fast in that one class, we'd go class up.
Okay.
Just to always keep me, learning.
Yeah.
Well, when we ran out of classes, and we ran, 4 or 5 cars a weekend,
right.
I guess they decided it was time to move up, and then we were originally talking about going into a modified, and then Tony convinced him to try a crate late model. So I was, right before I turned 13, it was the end of the season at Florence, and I guess we went out there with the car that we got off Tony rolling, and I just drove around. Some pictures of that floating around. It's kind of funny.
Cause you have some on your Facebook.
Yeah, I do. Well, we didn't want to change everything to me yet, just to see how it would do. So all we did was just move my seat way forward, which is really funny because there's probably this big of a gap between the back of
That's
where we
funny.
just scooted. Then over the winter we obviously adjusted everything.
Did you guys have to move the pedals too?
Yeah. So let's see. It was I forgot what year rocket it was, but we had to build brackets, and All Star actually makes pedal extension kits. So we had to extend the pedals back 4 or something inches. We had to drop we had to raise the steering wheel, the steering shaft. We had to raise it up because I sat so much higher, because when you bring me up, the wheels got to come with it.
Right.
Just so I could, see over the steering wheel.
Yeah, that makes sense. Funny thing, I remember my first go-kart, my dad did this to my bike too. I couldn't reach the pedals on my bike. I couldn't reach pedals on my first go-kart either. Well, Dad took a 4x4 block of wood, put it on the pedal, and duct taped it. Well, then I could reach that block of wood just fine. So we didn't have to move.
Right.
So we just Put a block of wood on there.
Which I think we did something similar to that for my the first time I drove it, and then after I drove it, we couldn't lower. My feet weren't tall enough, you know what I mean, and so we couldn't load it. Yeah, so we couldn't lower the pedal enough. So we just had to build like a fake floor with foam, so I could set my foot up on top of, so it would hit in the center of the pedal. Because we could move it down, but when you moved it so far down, then the linkage would start running into stuff.
So I would imagine, I remember, now this has been years ago, because this is where Bobby Pierce started.
Right.
Remember the kid mods? They were like full-size car, full-size modifieds, but they were built for kids.
I've seen those. That's more of like an Iowa thing, isn't it? Or Illinois?
Yeah, Illinois. You know what? I don't even know if they still do those or not. That might have just been an introduction.
I think there was.
Into it, maybe. I don't know.
I think I saw a Hell Tour race where they had some of those. And it was like the age gap, the age cap was like 16 or something like that, or 14. I'm not sure.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was actually fun to watch. The Hell Tour race was, though.
You think about it, there's little kids out there racing these full-size cars, but they're built for them, you know?
Right, but at the same point in time, not a kid out there thinks of, I'm just a kid. Like, you know, I can say it from experience. I never would think about that.
Yeah. So how old are you now?
I'm 19 now.
19 now, okay. 19 now, and you're in modifieds now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did the crate thing for a while.
Yeah, we did the crate thing for a while, and then the same thing that Dad always did. We got pretty good in crates, and we won a championship. And then we went and got a super. So we ran super late models and crate. For about a year, we ran both. I would do double duty.
Okay.
And then wrecked a super late model, got rid of the crate just to get another super. And then I think we ran supers for, what year would that be? We probably ran supers for 2 or 3 more years after that. And then every year, then we went to modifieds, but every year I go down with my uncle and my cousin to Volusia for speed weeks, and I had been going with them for like 6 or so years. Every time we go down there, it would almost convince me to go get a modified so I could do it with them, not just speed weeks, but so we could travel together. And then Brandon got, with Longhorn, and they started the Low and Bro deal, and now it's just Longhorn. But I don't know, it was a great group of guys, and it seemed like they were having fun. Everyone was having a good time. They were fast, so we decided that I'll just make the switch and run mods for a while. So it's just a family thing. That way, like, if we want to travel somewhere,
you guys are all together and you're in the same class.
We can talk to each other, build with each other.
Sure. So you guys kind of almost have your own little, yes, it's a team, but your own little support group there too. Hey, I'm doing this, or hey, I'm struggling with this.
Absolutely.
You guys get good feedback from each other.
Yeah, and the funny part is 9 times out of 10 we all have a different setup going for some reason.
Because everybody's driving style is different.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, and it's just some things I'll do something and I'll love it, and one of them will hate it, or vice versa. And
right.
It's fun, and it's also just fun to be competitive. Me and Colin, my cousin, we're really competitive with each other.
Yeah?
I mean, we always want each other to do the best, but whenever we get next to each other, we always race a little bit harder.
No doubt. Yeah, I remember racing my cousin one time. Well, we raced the whole season in mods, and we ended up going for Rookie of the Year the same year. I had started like a year before, but I wasn't making that my full rookie season, so I kind of bounced around a couple races here, a couple races there, just to get some seat time, so that way I knew I could go into and give it my best.
Right.
And man, it seemed like, but back then, this was 05. Man, there was tons of cars every week. It was an A and B feature every single week, and I know for the first 6 weeks, I couldn't even make a show because there were so many cars, and being the B or whatever, but man, it was tough. So it came down to the very last night, and back then they still did the double points for a championship night.
Double points night.
Yeah. Well, Matt, my cousin, he couldn't be there that night. He had to be in a wedding. So he's like, well, good luck. I hope you get it. He said, I know it'll be more to you than with me. So he said, good luck. So I think I started like 12th or something like that in the feature, and Josh came up to me and told me, he says, hey, just so you know, no pressure, but you got to finish 10th or better to get Rookie of the Year. I'm like, all right, I'm 12th, that's 2 cars. I got to get you 2 cars.
You got to pass 2 cars.
2 cars. I ended up running like 7th or 8th
There you go.
It was like my all-time best finish in the in the A mods. I was very happy with that.
Sometimes a little extra like boost of like you gotta get it. It helps sometimes.
Going to get it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it always is a way to liven up the mood a little bit. Even like if north-south, for example, we had a less than stellar north-south this year, and just I think it was the second or third night. I mean, I started at the back and Colin started in the middle, and we met somewhere in the center of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sucked, and we were unhappy about the finish. But we got to race with each other for a couple laps.
You still had fun.
We got to make a little bit of light out of it, you know.
Right.
Because as soon as we started racing with each other, I was trying to box him in behind other cars so he couldn't get away. It's just racing more aggressive than we needed to for 12th or whatever we were in.
Right. But you guys were having fun.
Yeah.
As long as nothing's getting tore up, a little fun's a little fun.
Especially in a situation like that where you know that you've missed the setup or something.
At that point, it's just make the best out of it.
Yeah, we have a good time.
Cool. So which class do you like better, the late model or the modifieds?
See, I really like both, and I really liked the modifieds when I first got at them. There's a lot of weird things that I didn't think would be, not necessarily an issue, but I didn't think would be like way different from me.
Yeah.
And I think the two biggest things that I struggled with to like get adapted to the most were the brakes.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, the brakes work, they'll stop the race car, but they're nothing like, supers, you got the big old, quad piston. Yeah. You got to use a lot of pedal, and I had a problem getting used to that for a while.
And another thing I think that a lot of guys don't really think about is, look at your tires are so much different.
Right.
So you have so much more tire on the racetrack.
Right.
So your response to everything is so much different versus the 8-inch mod tires.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I joked around about it. I drove a crate car this past weekend for Gary Engel at Florence, and I was joking around about it. Yeah. And I was like, well, I've got half the horsepower, double the tire, and double the downforce that I had. And that was my thought process kind of going into modifieds in the beginning.
Okay.
And the tire didn't affect me. The little tires didn't mess me up as much as they drive really crooked. The modifieds just drive super sideways, yawed out the whole time.
They're never straight.
No.
Never.
And, in late models, they do the same thing, but it's not quite as bad, or at least maybe I never noticed it as bad. Yeah. But, like, the first couple races I had in a modified, I just felt like I was constantly, hung out sideways. Yeah. And I was trying to train myself on how to get used to it.
Did you ever feel like, and I'm assuming maybe they're all this way, I had a big transition when I went from the super dirt stocks to the modifieds. That was a big difference there because now I was on a bar car.
Yeah.
Way different than a leaf spring car. But I always felt this weird, when you come off the corner, the car
transition back out.
Yeah, it does this weird dance down the straightaway. It's I'm really going straight, but it just really does this weird thing.
Yeah, and as weird as it is, I don't know, we had, for a while, last year we were pretty quick off and on. And when we were quick last year, the car would halfway down the straightaway transition to the left rear. Yes. It'd keep going straight, but it kind of points you at the wall.
Just a little bit.
Well, for some reason now, whenever the car doesn't do that, we're usually not quick. And I don't, it's just a weird thing that I found. And I found that on video, it looks a lot more violent than it feels in the car.
It's radical.
Yeah, on video, it looks like we're just wrecking.
Yeah. I feel like I've noticed some guys use that to their advantage, especially once you get past the flag stand and you get that little swerve going, that's when they toss it
into the corner.
Crank on that dude and let her eat.
Absolutely. And then I've been on both sides of the fence there. I've driven them too straight and I've driven them too sideways. And I've kind of finally settled into the middle there. But the feeling that they give you a feeling of always being hung out. And then as soon as you start to get them tight, it's real bad because they ain't got enough tire to steer back out of it.
Yes.
But also, I find myself, I get on the verge of not not all the time, but pretty.
Loose.
I get loose.
You like a loose car.
Yeah, I'm not very good when the car won't turn. I can force it to turn, but I'm better than when I can just maneuver how I want. But I've found myself, I'll get myself on the verge of spinning out first or 1 or 3 laps into the race.
Right.
And it's just, I'm expecting in my back of my head, it's just beat into my head that I've got all this tire, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not just tire, but also just steering angle. Because,
Sure.
you know, late models, you can, especially, I had like in-frame headers and stuff, I can crank my wheels like almost 90 degrees to the right.
Yeah.
With modifieds, it's not quite that far, you know?
It's
So,
not as far.
yeah, I've found myself running out of steering wheel before, and then I have to like calm myself down. Like maybe we shouldn't be this out of shape.
Right.
You know, you just have to take a step back from it. But I mean, for the most part, the modifieds, the steering's weird because you know they're steering boxes instead of the racks,
Yeah.
so this wheel bounces around a lot that I'm not necessarily used for. And then the brakes, it's not like my brakes work great, but modified brakes just suck.
You know, they're still. What's the word? They're still modeled after OEM equipment.
Right. I mean, they're like, yeah, mine. Like you can go and get a brake caliper from my car from KY down the road, and they'll have it in stock, right?
Yep.
And it's not necessarily that it's just bad equipment. It's just I'm really big on like pedal feel. You know what I mean? Like late model, there's not a lot of pedal movement. It's more of a pressure thing.
Yes.
It's just how hard you push.
Yeah.
Well, my modified, it's just my pedals just got movement. You know what I mean? Like kind of like a street car. Just the further down I press it, the more it works, and it really messes with my head.
It's a lot different.
Because I'll feel like I'm barely touching it, and then I'm touching it way more than I'm thinking I am.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So you mentioned Volusia a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
You like that place?
Yeah, me and Volusia have a love-hate relationship.
Oh, really?
I love it. It hates me.
Okay. But as long as you're bringing gators back, that's all that matters.
Right. Like we've gotten pretty. I'll say lucky. We've gotten lucky the past couple years.
We really should have one of those sitting here.
They're both in the house. I should have brought one. But like I've gotten lucky, and usually for some reason the past 2 years I've been to Volusia, I struggle like hell the first 2 or 3 nights for some reason, and I'm not sure. Like the first year is kind of just because it was my first time in a modified.
Sure.
And last year I was just struggling with some new setup stuff, and we usually figure it out about halfway through the week. You know, but we're already those couple days behind. And then the last night, we usually have it down pretty good, but always something silly. Well, you know, it's a points thing, so we'll end up in like a B main, and, you know, we won't make our way through. But I love the racetrack if I could just turn my luck around a little bit, which we're planning on going back next year, which I'd love to do. And now I want a big gator now. Which that's a huge step up from what I've got, but you've got 2 little ones. I want one of the big ones.
Big gator,
yeah,
for sure. So this year was my first year. I'd never been to Volusia until this year. I always talked about it. It's like always like, you know, I've got tons of buddies that go, and so it's like, well, I mean, at the time I was working somewhere else, and so it had me on the other side of the state, but I never got to make it over to Volusia. It's like, well, now I got an opportunity. I get to go to Volusia. Man, that place was awesome.
It's an awesome facility.
Yeah. It really is.
If you got to go down through the pits, there's a gator pond down there.
Yeah.
So we make it a point to park by the gator pond every year, just because it's cool. You know, it's another one of those races, just like I was talking about, where it's kind of like a big vacation.
Yes.
I mean, you work your ass off every day.
Florida.
Yeah, you're in Florida, and like mom and you know anyone else that goes that's not really directly a part of the team, they'll go like hang out on the beach during the day and come for the races. And it's a lot of work, but for me and most people that come down with me, it doesn't really feel like it, because you're doing everything you do in a week every day.
Every day.
Every bit of maintenance.
Your maintenance program, everything. You got to do that every day.
Yeah, and you got to do it for 6-7 days in a row, something like that.
Yeah.
And but it doesn't feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's nice weather. You look around every now and then, there's a gator looking at you, which is pretty cool.
What do they got, like 2 or 3, or is it 3 or 4?
3 or 4. I know there was one big one last year that they had to take out right before we got there.
Really?
Because they said he was a little snappy.
Imagine that.
So
gators.
Yeah, they had to take him out. But it's a cool atmosphere also. You know, it's just so many race cars, and really we go down there. Like it's really just the best of the best. Like anybody that's most of the people that's anybody is there every year. You know, and we like to say it gives us a jump start on the year for when we come back.
Absolutely. You know what, I have said this many times, and probably a jump start is probably the best way to put it. I always feel like the teams that go down and get that weekend or whatever, whether it's just knocking the winter rust off or whatever, when it seems like anybody that goes down and races down there, when they come back and regular season starts here, they're already ahead of the game because they're already back on their program. They've had they're not been sitting around all winter.
They're back in the swing.
They're back in full swing, and man, like anything, every lap you get faster and faster. So if you've had a long break off, your reaction time or getting back used to it isn't as bad. If you just came back from Florida and been racing, hey, you're on the go pedal.
You're already there, and a lot of it, like I say, we always struggle those first 2-3 nights in Volusia. That's but that's 2-3 weeks back home that we eliminate, in a couple of days, and that's the big deal with it. This year we went down, and on our way home, I think like a week after we get home, they always have the the Sweetheart or whatever at 411.
Oh
yeah, it's Valentine's Day. Yeah, when we went there this year, we were all hopped up, but I really misjudged the change in racetrack from when we left Volusia, this big, wide open, sandy, like abrasive track, and we went to 411, which is tiny and slick. Yeah, it really threw me for a loop through the heat race and stuff, and I don't remember how. I think we wrecked like first lap of the feature, but it was nice to come back and, obviously we ran hot laps or whatever, and like we wanted to change this and this, but I already had a week worth of notes of what I can do to make it better. I mean, it's really just building the notebook up as big as possible is super helpful.
And getting familiar with your equipment, like how much this change is going to affect, and I know what this is going to do.
Absolutely, and like I'm starting to get to the point now that I've been racing modifieds for last year and this year. Is I'm just now starting to be able to dive back into my notes I made last year. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of a tough thing for me because, like you said earlier, everyone's a different driver. So like I can ask Brandon like what he thinks about this, or ask Colin what he thinks about this. But now I'm starting to develop my own notes from what I like. And it's starting to help here. I mean, we had a little bit of a dry spell the last couple of races, but
so a lot of people that maybe are watching and maybe are not so familiar with the cars and things like that. It's it's always been said, but just another learning thing. You can take two identical cars, set up the exact same thing, same air pressure, same weight, same setup, same identical car. You put two different people in those, and they're going to drive them differently, and those cars are going to act completely different.
Absolutely.
Because no two drivers drive the same.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You might be able to make two cars as close to identical as possible.
Yeah, but it's going to be different results every time.
What may work for Scott Blomqvist may not work for Devin Moran or Bobby Pierce, or it's everybody's.
And then
driving is different.
That's like what half the battle is. It's not just finding speed; it's making the car work with you. You know what I mean? Like I might have a car, like my car might work really well for Brandon, but me and Brandon's styles are different.
Completely different.
You know what I mean? And it's also your job as a race car driver to kind of deal with that. You know what I mean? Like make it work, which making it work and just fitting in with your own is always different. And I've found myself, I guess maybe coming from late models, I've gone on test sessions with a bunch of different people. I find myself, I drive my cars a lot straighter than most of the other people like I'm around. You know what I mean? I really like to keep the car like pretty straight, drive a lot on the right front like a late model does. You drive way on the right front. And that doesn't really work all the time with these, and I've just kind of had to beat it into my head to give up on my old.
It's a different car. You got to drive it differently.
Absolutely.
Not saying you got to change.
It's just got to break old habits, really.
Yeah. Everything. I'm sure. Completely different chapter. But you can't drive a front-wheel drive Hornet car the same way you drive any rear-wheel drive car.
Right.
So you got to learn how to
adapt
change
to it.
to that car.
Absolutely.
I was never good at. I could make changes and I could get a car halfway good for me, but I was never a dial that thing in. I would change how I drove it to make it faster. Just because I wasn't a technical guy, wasn't that smart, or I always said I was the dumbest racer out there. I could fix what I could break, but if it didn't come in the Pierce setup book, I didn't know how to adjust it or change it. I didn't know what this did.
And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of it is just trial by fire. You know what I mean? You just gotta go with it. That's why testing helps so much.
Yes.
Testing, and then the biggest thing besides just racing is racing with good people.
Yes.
Like when I was
you
back,
don't want to pick up bad habits.
right? When I was back, like racing late models, like you learn every lap, but you learn double every lap you run at a Lucas show than you do at your weekly race.
Oh, yeah.
It's just because like those guys, they're just on it. You know what I mean? Like there's no learning the track for a lap. There's nothing. They go into turn one like they've just ran 100 laps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just they're on it. They're go right all the way to the end. And that was my biggest help when I was younger and we first got into supers is running with them.
Yeah.
We might not have ran great, but just watching and like how they would race me, I could pick that up and kind of just absorb. I was just a big old sponge, is all I was, just absorbing everything I could around me.
That's a good thing,
right?
Trust me.
And it's just all learning. And my problem is, I think racing's a big old circle. Yeah, I mean, with like all like technology and everything, anything that's new has been done before. Everything just comes back to itself.
Yeah. To an extent, yeah.
I mean, I think so. Just with new ideas and stuff doesn't mean they don't work.
Right.
But it's just kind of. It's always been like a follow the leader thing. If somebody sees somebody doing something, then they do it. Then the whole country does it.
I remember, it seemed like two guys around here, especially in the modifieds, Dave McWilliams and Billy Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those guys, no matter what you put them in, those were good racers and they're going to win. Those guys start winning a couple of weeks, and then guess what? Then everybody else would start doing what they were doing. And
right.
I remember when Billy got the Intimidator chassis.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, you were probably a kid back then, or you might not have been around.
Probably
He's picking the left front off the ground. I mean, it looks cool and everything, and he starts winning. Guess what? Then it's monkey see, monkey do. Then the next thing you know, everybody's getting Intimidators, and they're all packing the left front up. Yeah. Then go to Pierce, and then he starts winning Pierce. Guess what? Then everybody starts getting Pierce cars,
And that's the thing with everything, and a lot of it, I feel, is just people implementing like not old technology, but old knowledge, and then it's just the circle continues.
And we're still seeing stuff like that in late models today.
Oh, absolutely.
One chassis is hot, and guess what? Now everybody's going to start gravitating.
Right. Everyone's going to move back. The biggest argument I have with the everything's a big circle thing is when I was young running quarter midgets, I drove a car for CSI Shocks. Okay. The shock company. They're big in like midgets and sprint cars. I drove a car for CSI Shocks, and as soon as I started driving it, they just came out with this all brand new through shaft shock design. Okay. Right? Which, I mean, it's been done. But first time they put them on quarter midgets, I thought, like through shaft shocks. Well, we went, and I think we ran like, I don't know. We ran in the parking lot at IRP, the Brickyard. Yeah. Well, on the way home, we decided, we're going to stop by Rayburn's. We're going to, talk to Rayburn. Yeah. And we pull in, and in his front yard, there's a quarter midget that his son, Christian, I think, raced when he was younger. And I was walking by, and I noticed that it had through shaft shocks on it, even though this was the latest and greatest on my CSI car. And ever since then, I've always just thought everything's a circle, everything's been done. And it's hard to think not, because, I mean, racing's been around for...
Yes. There's a lot of people lose, or a lot of people don't realize how much in the past racing was, and again, this is just my thoughts and opinions, it's not scientifically proven by anybody. Racing was a lot of ingenuity and how creative people could get.
Absolutely.
And you built cars out of junkyards. I mean, you would take a couple of wrecked cars, and you take one good car, then you start making your parts, and you make this piece to work and do what you want it to do. Yeah. Those days are in the past. Now you go spend money and buy parts that people fabricate and make out of shops.
I mean, those days is what got us here, though.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Now, it's not saying that they're not still taking fabricated parts and trying different stuff, or taking
There's still changes, but they're not the big swings that you used to see. You know what I mean?
I think I would like to... I mean, I'm sure some of the older guys, maybe a little older than me, they could really tell you, I mean, the difference in the cars. What turn was the biggest change? Right.
I feel like it'd have to be, I guess, if I didn't drive them, and I probably wasn't around for half of it. But like, let's see. When did late models start putting the left front back on the ground?
Oh god.
Because that's really they really took off after that.
I think the difference between the 80s and 90s is probably the biggest jump.
It's got to be there somewhere, like 80s to 90s or 90s to 2000s. Like the bodies didn't really change, but the attitudes and everything changed drastically.
I remember the big drastic changes. I remember that. So when I can just barely. I was a young kid when they still had the Camaro bodies.
Yeah.
And then they started gravitating and going. Then they went to the wedge cars, and those are like
those things are cool.
Those are just cool. Then they kind of tamed them down, and they were real boxy, real square looking. And I'm not saying they've gotten completely away from that. Yeah. They still have that similarity, but now they've got some style.
Now they're all flared crazy.
they're like just a straightened out wedge car.
Yeah, they really are. Some of them are pretty crooked. They're trying to get that under control, but it's not working.
Yeah. I kind of still like to say, thank God that's not my job.
Yeah, I still think they should do what Turbo said. I think we should build a box, and as long as you can fit through the box, everything's fine. I mean,
it is what it
you
is.
can if they would just let you do whatever you want inside that box, but as long as you can drive through these poles without hitting nothing, everything's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as somebody hits on something big, anyone's going to copy it.
Everybody's going to copy it.
Right.
But here's the thing. In every racer, racers are their own worst enemies.
Right.
If you say, okay, here's your box, they're going to go from this to that box.
Yeah.
And they're going to be pushing
Absolutely. I mean,
every limit.
That's where I'm happy I don't have to deal with that, because there's some rules where if you add too many rules, you're going to get the wrong outcome that you were looking for, because they're going to find, what I mean, the more rules, the more loopholes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then there's the spend more money to get around those rules.
Right. Which there's been a couple of rules that were going to get implemented that didn't, that I'm really happy they didn't, because once you start limiting stuff, if you try to make everyone have the same stuff, it's never going to work. I mean, you can try, but that's when it stops becoming gray area and people are just going to start cheating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's some of those deals work, and some of those deals are fun. And
absolutely.
Really, I guess the closest thing we have to that now is the SX or the
the SRX series or whatever.
Yes. I was trying to get there.
Where all the cars are pre-built and
they're pre-built, they're the same, and now it's just driving. So
right.
That's kind of cool, but that's not.
It really takes away from a lot of what dirt racing is, though.
It does.
You know
but that's good. I don't mean it as an exhibition race.
Yeah. Kind of is. Yeah.
It's not your weekly warrior racing.
Absolutely.
Weekend warriors,
I mean, and we're kind of close to that, really, because, like you said, not a lot of people build their own stuff anymore. Yes. So, like, you want to look, like, late model-wise, you've got your top 3 or 4. I mean, there's obviously more, but you have your top 3 or 4 manufacturers, you know what I mean? And they're all loosely close to each other. Like, all cars are pretty close nowadays.
They're pretty close,
There's differences in the shocks and all that, but when it comes down to just the tubes, I know a couple years ago I could take my seat mounts out of my club car and mount them in a Rocket or a Longhorn or really anything. Yeah. I'm just saying, they're pretty similar,
Yeah.
And so we're kind of there now, and now we're on, like, a couple years ago, shocks were everything, which shocks still are a huge deal.
Shocks are everything, tires are everything.
Yeah.
Aerodynamics is everything.
That's one thing I'm happy I left late models just in time. While everyone's trying to figure out the tire deal.
Yeah.
Not saying they're bad, but it's just got a lot of people for a loop right now because they're different.
They're different.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends are talking about how they're just kind of struggling with it. So really happy I'm not a part of that. Maybe I'll come back when they get that figured out.
Get that all figured out, man. Maybe I'll come back.
Once it's all common knowledge again, I'll come back.
So you could see a point in the future where you may go back to late models.
I'd love to.
You'd love to.
Yeah, I won't until, I don't really know. With me, kind of things change day by day.
Yeah.
But really, right now, I want to get my modifieds more. I want to get my modified more together. I feel like I'm in a position now. If I left modifieds to myself, I'd feel like I abandoned it.
Left some on the table.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I want to go and get all I can get for like a year, and then I'll feel happy about leaving.
Get a championship or two, or get some of those W's.
Nah, almost got a championship this year.
Close, huh?
Yeah, it was. In the beginning of the season, I wasn't really planning on racing for one, but we had so many rainouts and cancellations that I had ran like half the races just by being there.
Right.
And so we just decided to go for it.
Well, heck, we're this far into it.
Right. And then we had a little unlucky spell for about a month. I think we had 3 or 4 DNFs in a row. And then that took us from the points lead to like, I forgot what it was, like 40 points. Oh, we were in third. We went from the points lead with I don't remember how many point gap to third, and got back up to second, and just, I thought this, like, the past weekend was double points night. Didn't know that we did away with that.
Yeah, I don't think they've done double points for a few years.
The last time I ran for a championship, it was double points, and that was, the last time I ran for a championship was 2016, something like that. 2017 was the last time I ran for a points championship, and I'm pretty sure it was double points night that night, and then I never ran for a points championship again. So
not since,
yeah.
So that would have probably been, I guess that's, maybe a Josh King or a Ron Jurger question. When did they stop doing the double points? But it's been a little bit.
I unloaded at the racetrack, and I was talking to Caleb, the guy that won points. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's double points night. And he's like, it is? And I was like, I thought.
See what I get for thinking.
Yeah, but no, it's congrats to him. They did a great job this year. They did what you need to do to win championships. He
won it.
He ran up front, and he consistently finished races. So.
That's how you win championships.
Yeah, I mean, he out-championshiped me this year, I'm not going to lie. Which I wish we wouldn't have had a little couple of unlucky races there.
Right. So now you got a goal for next year, it sounds like?
I don't know. I was
still too far off.
Yeah, I really wanted to, and I still wanted to run a lot of the Mars series.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to run, maybe not for season, but I wanted to run quite a few of the races they ran. And I really just, with mods, you're really locked in a box because nobody pays like all that great. You know what I mean?
There's that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I'm lucky enough that, like, Florence, they pay $1,000 weekly, which, I mean, a lot of people would complain and say it should be more, and every racer's going to want it to be more.
Every racer's going to want.
But the way you look at it is there's a lot of other tracks around here that don't pay that. You know what I mean? So I'm lucky to have that here.
Yeah.
But it's just, I got a modified to travel, but it's hard to justify traveling a bunch. It's hard to make me want to drive 5 hours away for $1,200. When I can drive 15 minutes for 1,000.
Is it worth it?
It's hard to get away from that. And then a lot of it, like, we race a lot of those races. We'll travel, 3 hours or so. And then, it's for more just going to the competition, you know what I mean? It's not like you're going out there for more money.
Right.
You know what I mean? It might be like $500 more, but you're really just going out for the competition.
For the competition, to learn and make yourself better.
Right. Yeah, and that's the kind of a bubble modifieds have right now.
I mean, I've gotten to travel a lot this year and see a lot of different modifieds at a lot of different places, and they a lot of times still put on a great show.
Yeah, well,
I mean, whether you're watching the modifieds at Cedar Lake, or the modifieds at Fairbury, I mean, it's like, wow. And these guys are racing good.
And I brought that to a point. That's why, like, I'm excited. There's a couple of big modified series because, like, the way you look at it, when you pay enough money to get all the big modified guys, they race really well.
They do.
I mean, they always do. Like Volusia, there's always a good race. Besides when Hoffman was there and dominated, there's always a pretty decent race going on whenever you have your top modified guys.
Right.
And you look at it the same way as your late models. Lucas Oil, they always have a good race. World of Outlaws, there's always a good race.
Yes.
It's because it's the best people.
It's because you get the best of the best. You get the cream of the crop, and this is the reason these guys are the best because they're there, and that's what you're going to see. You're going to see good racing.
And modifieds, I think, on the UMP side at least, is starting to take the upswing in that. There's because like the modified Mafia or whatever that's down in like a North Carolina Georgia series. I mean they just started this year, and then Mars, and then there's a couple other pretty decent series, and they're growing, which is super exciting, sitting here because...
It's great to be a modified guy, huh?
I mean, it seems like a pretty good time to be in the modified seat because payouts are slowly increasing, and you're seeing bigger shows starting to pop up, which, I mean, it's just exciting. It makes it easier to go places,
Where am I going to go this week?
Right.
For sure.
Which, I mean, with, like, late models, you always have that question because late models, there's... Especially where we're at right now, we can hit like 6 different racetracks in a couple of hours.
That's a nice thing about this area.
Yeah, I love living right here, but it works out really good in the late model because it's almost impossible not to hit at least $5,000.
Oh, yeah, somewhere.
Right.
Within a 3-hour drive, you're $5,000 somewhere.
Yeah, and we have a big variety from here. We can go anywhere from like Ponderosa or Cumberland with red clay all the way. You know, you get to that weird stuff in Ohio. There's there's some weird dirt up there, and then you got your clay. It's just we got like this cool little mosh pit of surfaces and places around here.
And it's like you said, it's a good variety, and it's still good racing.
Yeah, we go. You know, we've got our little bull rings. We've got Eldora's pretty close. Lawrenceburg. Well, whatever happens with Lawrenceburg.
Yeah, there's big questions going on there.
Yeah, I hope somebody takes it because it could be so. I love it. I love Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
I think it could be such a cool racetrack.
I think a few minor changes. I mean, and I say minor. I mean, it's probably bigger than minor, but
The surface.
A couple little changes. Man, up next week. The facility's top notch.
Oh, yeah.
That's without a doubt.
I think they could use a surface update.
Surface update. It's not that I hate it. I'd like to see maybe.
Some late models.
Well, yeah, but man, I want to see something that's not so hard on equipment.
Right. I mean, and that's
places, I mean, it's a racetrack. All racetracks are hard, but some are harder than others.
right.
You know?
You need to maybe cut a little bit of banking
Just a
out
little
of
bit.
it.
Just a little bit.
But at the same point in
add
time-
just a little bit to the bottom. If you just tweak that thing just a little bit, man, I think it's.
I'm right there with you, but yeah, there's a lot of places that are just kind of hard on stuff. But I love that track because it's even when it's slow, it's kind of get what you can get. You got to drive real aggressive the whole time, and I think with just a little bit of changes, like you said, maybe open up the calendar a little bit and allow like some late models to come back because it's a great track.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, it's like 45 minutes away from here. I'd race there all the time with just those couple of changes.
I think it would tough to do it on a regular. You know, I had me and another guy was talking the other day, and I said, man, if that place would work with, or if you could get maybe a once a month or a rotation even, a Moeller, Florence, Lawrenceburg special events once a month, once every other month. Man, that'd be awesome. But at the same time, if you're always the track on Sunday, you're dealing with, you lost this guy that wrecked that night, or this guy can't, 3 days in a row is a bit much for some people. I get all that. But hey, a couple of special events here and there where you can do that kind of swing.
Yeah. I wish we had a series like that. I mean, it's like a dream, obviously, but it only works for some people. But if we could get a little series that would hit Northern Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, because we've got some great racetracks in this little area. If we could just get like a little series and bring a bunch of top regional guys.
Slingin Dirt Series.
There you go. Dude, I mean,
we're going to expand.
I'd be there. You know what I mean? Because you can go do everything. You go to a place like Lawrenceburg, to Brownstown, to Florence, to Ponderosa. It's
Moeller,
just
maybe
Atomic.
Brush
Yeah.
Creek.
I forgot about half these racetracks. You know what I mean?
There's a couple more we didn't even mention.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's just we've got a great little spot right here.
Yeah.
We just need to bring a series to us, and that's the only bad thing about right here is we don't have a series. Well, we have the Iron Man, or what are they? The Bruce Built mods, which they're like a Tennessee thing,
right?
Or Tennessee, Southern Kentucky thing.
Yeah.
But we don't have a series here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For modifieds.
Right.
Do we have late model series for here? Oh, you're the Iron Man.
Series.
Iron Man.
Utility's got that going on. They travel. I know they go to Ohio. I think.
Yeah, they go Ohio, Indiana, Illinois.
Yeah.
I think they go Illinois.
I think I think there's two. There's like a northern series.
Oh yeah, there is a northern and a southern series.
Yeah, I don't know their schedule, but I know there is a northern and then you just got to spend on good racing, and that's almost what you need is another regional series for your regional guys. When you've got racetracks that limit how much or how often they race late models or modifieds or any other class, those guys are going to find somewhere to run because they don't have thousands of dollars tied up in their toys and just sit there and let them sit. You know,
It would act as almost a feeder system for our national races. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you've always got your top regional guys. Well, make a series to bring the top regional guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then your top regional guys, a couple of them will advance to your top national guys.
Because we almost don't have locals anymore.
Right. You know,
now everybody's a regional guy, or has to be a regional guy at some point if they want to race.
You got to, or you're just a part-time racer, really.
You're just a part-time racer. And I'm going to tell you, that doesn't work very well.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't work very well.
Yeah, especially when it comes to being quick, it's hard to take those, you know, if you take 2 weeks off, it's just tough.
I noticed toward the end of my racing career, toward the end, now, you know, we have Moeller and Florence and that race Friday and Saturday night. Those two tracks share a lot of cars back and forth. And the guys that are doing it Friday night and Saturday night, and on Saturday night, they're just right back on the pedal.
They're already there.
If I've taken a week off, or if I was taking every other week off, you know, say, hey, I would have my kids this weekend, so I wouldn't race, you know, I'd make sure I had dad time with my kids. Then the next week I come back to racing, it's like, man, I'm readjusting, I'm getting used to the car.
Absolutely.
You can't do that when you got guys that are racing twice a week. Every second that you're readapting,
they're advancing.
Away. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it's just, it'd be cool.
It'd be cool.
It'd be cool to have a series, and then it just helps. It just helps everybody that doesn't have a weekly track anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's more that like modified's pretty much weekly everywhere, but for like late model guys that are like kind of lost now, you know, it's
they're figuring things out.
Yeah, and then it's also just something that they can run for. That's another points thing, you know what I mean? It's going to draw more people, help racetracks out, bigger crowds, the whole nine.
All of it combined.
Right. I mean, it's racing's on the upswing for that.
Let's talk a little bit about Billy outside the race car.
All right.
So, 19.
Yes, sir.
You just graduate?
Yeah, about a year
Homeschool,
ago.
or did you graduate?
I did online school.
Online school.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not quite homeschooling, but not far from it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess in the last couple of years, there's a lot of
with
online abilities now with COVID and things like that. It's like, yep, I can do this online. I ain't going back.
Especially with traveling to go racing, you know, big thing. Missed out on probably too many days of school when I was younger going racing. So.
Right. So what's Billy like outside of the race car? What's your favorite? What kind of interests? What kind of hobbies you got outside of racing? Nothing. It's racing.
Do a lot with racing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do a lot with racing. We like to have a little something called Sunday Fun Day. You know what I mean? We'll get a bunch of friends out and hang out by the pool.
Those are great days.
Yeah, Sunday Fun Days are good days. We have Sunday Fun Days. I'm either really having a Sunday Fun Day, working on a race car, or hanging out with my girlfriend Kylie. That's kind of what I do.
Again, in a racing family.
Lots of phone calls. I do
phone calls.
take lots of phone calls.
Okay.
Got to call people, try to stay on top of it, you know?
Yeah, right. What kind of music you into?
I listen to everything. Yeah, I don't really have a limit to what I listen to.
So that playlist goes from
it'd take you from on top of the world to really sad real quick. There's nothing in between. Gotcha. It makes road trips a lot more fun.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
In the truck, the passenger who's riding with me has no idea what they're in for.
Yeah. I've gotten to the point where it just depends on what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
So sometimes I just want to listen to this stuff, or sometimes so I have a couple of separate playlists, but then I have like my one that has everything.
Yeah, I've got like my 3 or 4 different like mood playlists, and other than that, I've got Apple Music, so everything's just crammed together.
Everything.
You just toss that sucker on shuffle and in for a ride.
Fun.
Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite food?
I don't know. I'm pretty basic.
Pretty basic.
I got a favorite snack.
Ooh,
yeah, I mean peanut butter toast. It's
peanut
like
butter toast.
my thing.
Just toast with peanut butter.
Oh yeah, you can ask anybody around me. It's kind of like a ritual I have about every night. You know, late night snack. I'll go and make like a thing peanut butter toast. No one else can be in the kitchen. I've just got it's my time. It's alone.
Okay, so tell me about this peanut butter toast. Is there butter on toast and then peanut butter? Or is it just plain toast with peanut butter?
Toast, peanut butter, glass of milk. That's it. And I'll just sit there at my kitchen table just in silence and, you know, run through the day in my head, think about what I need for tomorrow. Yeah. It's just my thing. I won't do it if anybody's there. It's a private time. I guess I've just associated it in my mind. That's where I just have a moment to myself.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it was real serious when especially two of my buddies lived here for a while. It was a real thing. I had to kick them out every now and then.
Bro,
Yeah,
go.
one of them would come out of their room like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "It's time for you to leave."
You don't want to know.
Busy right now.
Right. Huh. Interesting. Peanut butter toast.
Peanut butter toast. I'm telling you, life changing. You got to try it.
Life changing.
It's life changing.
Okay.
It's not the.
I'm gonna try
It's
it.
not the food. It's the moment.
It's the moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just get to take everything in.
Okay.
You're not worried about nothing. You ain't got nothing going on.
Yeah.
You know you're about to go to bed. You're gonna eat a tasty little treat. Just hang out.
All right, I'm gonna try it. See how it works out.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, last question I got.
Okay.
Skyline or Gold Star?
Gold Star.
Really?
Yeah, Skyline's too watery. Okay, hold on. Wait a second. Here we go.
I mean, this is a big debate.
This is an argument I have quite a bit. So, Gold Star 3-ways are better.
Okay.
Gold Star 3-ways are better. Yeah, Gold Star 3-ways are better. The Conies, it's a tough race. Okay, I'd still pick Gold Star, but the Skyline's Conies are pretty good. They're okay. But when it comes down to it, Gold Star's just better.
Just better.
It just is.
Okay, we're gonna agree to disagree. I have grown very fond of my Skyline 4-way with beans. Sometimes I can do conies from either or because they're both good.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I do like better, at Gold Star, is chili cheese fries.
They're chili. Yeah, you see?
I love the crinkle cut.
Yeah, man, they're great.
But the Doritos versus the Chilito, it's no contest.
See, I don't know about that.
It's a Chilito every day, all day.
I'm pretty straightforward in my order. 3 or 4-way with a cheese coney with everything. It's kind of what I get every time.
I did grow up a Gold Star kid and I loved it. And I don't know what changed or just got old or what, but man, I'm a Skyline.
I'm pretty loyal to my places. Like, I'll pick something like that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're getting subs, Jimmy John's.
Bro, we gotta talk.
Where do you go?
Penn Station.
For warm subs, Penn Station.
Yes.
For cold subs, Jimmy.
Okay, so there's where
There's a difference there.
There is. I don't do cold subs.
Really?
If I'm gonna do a cold sub, I can have a lunch meat sandwich at home.
No.
So I typically don't do cold
Jimmy
subs.
John's, you get the peppers, you get like their little
You can.
spicy peppers. Look, summertime you eat cold subs. Wintertime you eat warm subs.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just like you
That's
eat.
good logic.
Yeah,
Give me that
you
one.
don't eat chili in the middle of summer. It's hot.
It's true.
You know.
But I like chili.
I do like chili. It's one of my favorite
It is
foods.
one of my favorite too. I make some killer deer chili. It's amazing.
Aw.
It's life changing.
That's life changing.
Okay.
I'll trade you.
All right.
I'll trade you a piece of peanut butter toast
For
for a bowl of chili.
Okay.
You put peanut butter?
Have you ever dipped or had peanut butter
Butter.
sandwiches in your chili?
I haven't had peanut butter sandwiches in my chili. I've tried like a little dab of peanut butter in there, which I didn't know existed till like earlier this year. Kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay, so you're a big peanut butter guy.
Big peanut butter
Okay,
guy.
so you're gonna love it.
Got a sticker on the car and everything.
All right, you're gonna do a bowl of chili.
Okay.
You take just a plain piece of white bread, peanut butter on it, fold it over, dip it in your chili, and eat it.
Have to go for it.
Life changing.
Life changing. I do toast with like tomato soup.
Okay.
Yeah, grilled cheese. I mean,
Grilled cheese.
with tomato soup. And you got a little couple weird traditions. Popcorn. You ever put popcorn in your tomato soup?
I have never put popcorn.
It's weird. I don't know where it came from. That came from my mom's side, like Arizona or something. But if you throw
Never tried that one?
if you throw popcorn in there and you scoop it up really quick before it like
Yeah, before it gets soggy.
yeah, it's kind of good. I don't know what's up with that.
I might take your word on that one.
You're gonna have to try it. I don't know if
popcorn and
Yeah,
tomato soup.
I don't know if I'd call that one life changing, but
Yeah,
it's a good one.
It's a good one. Okay. All right. We'll see.
You gotta try it.
All right. Before we wrap things up, anybody that you really need to, hey, I need to thank some people and all this, or anything you need to mention before we wrap things up?
Yeah, sure. Just gotta, thank my normal people like Beef O'Brady's, Lisa. She's helped me. She's sponsored me for hell since I got into big car racing.
Right.
Everybody at Longhorn, they're a great bunch of guys. They're doing some pretty awesome things right now. So,
Right.
gotta say thank you to all of them. My mom, obviously, because none of this would be here without her. My uncle Brandon, our normal crew guys, Matt and Chris, our buddy Jason, Coy. Really just, man, there's so many when you start trying to think of all the people.
I know. The first thing, every time I ask somebody, the first thing I know is they turn around and look at their car.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave anybody out. I get it.
I'm missing half my car.
You're missing the entire car. We have a door.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
You get the point.
That's basically like a modified.
Yeah. They got the little tires and
You
everything.
got the little tires and everything.
Slicker, he's always helps me out. Dargy, there we go. See, now I'm starting to come around.
It's clicking.
Dargy, and for the most part, that's it. There's obviously other people, but that's your big main ones right there.
Right on. Good deal. Billy, again, man, thanks for having us. Thanks for letting me come in and get some of your opinions, stories, and recipes.
Yeah, I'm telling you, life-changing stuff. You gotta take note.
Right. You heard it from him, so don't forget to check out your peanut butter toast before you go to bed tonight and see how that works out. You can always reach out and let Billy know if you liked it or not.
Let us know on our Facebook page, Billy Green Racing.
There you go, Billy Green Racing. Sounds good. So we're gonna wrap things up. I don't know. It's still kind of early for peanut butter toast for me. We'll see. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it and enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and like always, man, we'll see you at the track next week. Thanks.